Alright, so this video will focus on 1.2, and you're going to notice something right at the very beginning where it says simplify the expression. Now, simplify does not mean solve. It seems weird, I know, but there's no equal sign. So all we're trying to do is trying to put in lowest terms, essentially, simplifying the expression. So I'm going to look at the first one, and I have 2n plus 5 plus 3n, and I wrote that right over here. Now notice I underlined the 2n and the 3n because they're both part of the n family, we'll call it. So you can put the family together. So 2 plus 3 is a total of 5 n's, right? So I have 5n plus 5, and that has been simplified. I'm going to do the same thing here where it says 9 minus m plus 4m plus 7. So I'm going to look for families that I can kind of put together here. And let's look over here. And the first one, I'm going to take my 7 and my 9, and I can put those together, right? And that equals a total of 16. And now I'm going to take my let's just take the negative m and the 4m, and I'll put those together. So what is 4 plus negative 1? Well, I have 3m. So when I simplify this, I have 3m plus 16. So I want you to pause this and try figuring out the rest of these. Perfect. Now give it a try. Let's see how you did. So 5n plus that, we have negative 3x. 3m plus 16, which is the one I showed you here. And right there. So hopefully this makes sense to you. Make sure to come on in and get extra help if you're still struggling with this. Now the essential question is, how could you solve multi-step equations, and how could you check the reasonableness of your solution? This part here is super important. Make sure after you're done, you check it to see if it makes any sort of sense. So we already know how to do this from yesterday, but something that's different here is you only have one term. But notice here I have n and n. These have got to be equal to the same amount. All right, so I'm going to have not 1n, but I have n plus 42, and that all equals, for triangles, 180 degrees, right? So now I'm going to put these together, and if I have 1 plus 1, I have a total of 2n's plus 42, and that will all equal 180. Now, I'm going to go through it, and I have to try to get the n's by themselves. So I'm going to first do the subtraction equality, because I want to do the opposite or undo the plus. So I'll say minus 42. Minus 42 from this side, and I'll have a total of 2n equals 138. I'm then going to divide both sides by 2, or multiply by 1/2. It's up to you how you do it. So I usually do this. I'll say times 1 over 2, and I'll multiply this by 1 over 2. So n equals, and I get 69. So each n is equal to 69. I can plug this in and say 69 plus 69 plus 42, and I should get 180. We're going to do the same thing with this one over here. Combine your fact families together. So in this case, I'll have a total of 3 n's plus 15, and that should equal 180. And we'll go through and see what you get here when you do this. So if I take my 3n plus 15, and that all equals 180, I'm going to subtract, or do the subtraction property of equality. So subtract 15 here and subtract 15 here. And so I'm going to have 3n equals 165. All right. So in this case, the answer is 55. So 1n equals 55. And I can plug that back in and double check it. This one here, same kind of steps where I'm going to go through. I know it all equals 180. So I'm going to have 3q plus q plus q, and I'll have a total of 5q equals 180. And then you just have to take 180 divided by 5, and you get your answer. And this is the same kind of concept here. This one's crazy. I mean, if you look here, it says here the 6 triangles form a rectangle. Do you see it all? All of them all together? Find the angle of measure for each triangle. Well, we know, for instance, we have to look here for one that we know for sure. So I'm going to start by solving this here. So I'm going to go through and I have to find out at least one angle, right? And when I go through and solve this, I'm going to say that this is right around 30 degrees. So if this is 30 degrees right down here, I then have to figure out what this is. So I have 2p plus 30 equals 180. And I solve for this. And once I have this value, I can start finding out other values. And you can use this protractor as you go. And you can start solving. But you probably don't want to measure out every single angle. It'll take a little bit of time. But if you use the math that we've learned, you can only have, all you really need is to solve for one angle, and you can solve the rest very quickly and very easily. This one here, it says how many degrees are in each part of the circle. Well, I know that if I look here, there are a total of 360 degrees, right? So if I look here, this is x, 2x, 3x. This is 90 degrees right here, right? So I know that 90 plus, and then if I add all these x's together, I could then find out what 1x equals. And then you can start solving the rest of these. So what I did here is I just added up. I know this is 90 degrees because there's a little square here. I put 3/2 or 1.5x plus 2x plus 3x, and I put it all in here. And now I'm going to combine like terms. I'll look for my family here, right? And so I have this one here, this here, this here, this here. So I have 1 plus 2 is 3 plus 3 is 6, and then 1.5. So it's 7.5x. So I just simplified so far, plus 90. And that all equals 360. And then what I could do is I could go through and I could subtract my 90s from both sides. And now I have 7.5x equals, in this case, I get 270. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and I want to do the multiplicative inverse, is what I call it. So 1 over 7.5 to both sides. So the reason why I'm doing all this is because I want to solve for 1x. Once I know what 1x is, I can figure out the rest of these very easily. So I'm going to take 270 divided by 7.5. And when I do that, I get 270 divided by 270 divided by 7.5. And I get 36 degrees. So each x equals 36 degrees. Now again, where this matters is that I can now take this and plug it into each one of these. So I know Monday, for instance, is 36 degrees, right? So Monday is 36. Write this down here. I know that Tuesday will equal 3/2. So I'm going to take, well, I can do 3 over 2 times 36. And, I could either multiply 3 times 36 divided by 2, or take 36 divided by 2 and get 18, and 18 times 3 is 54. I know that Wednesday is 90. I know that Thursday is 3x, so it's 3 times 36. So is that like 108 or something? 118. So let's look here. So I have 36 times 3, 108. And then I can do Friday by taking 2 times 36 and getting 72. And now, of course, you want to add all these up to make sure you get 360 again, because I could have made a mistake. So if I take 36 plus 54 plus 90 plus 108 plus 72, I get 360. And that's how you could solve this one. It's kind of cool. This one here, you know that there are 3 x's. And of course, you could use your protractor, but I know it's 3x, and that's for 180 degrees right here. Or, yeah, for a triangle. So each x has to equal 60 degrees, right? And now, if this is 60, you can now figure out what this value is over here, because check this out. It's kind of neat. I go here. If you know that this here is 60, so this right here is 60, right? Then I can figure out what plus 60 equals 90. And that means that this angle here has to equal 30, right? And this is the same as this, isn't it? They're both y's, so 30 plus 30. So 30 plus 30 is 60, and 60 plus what number equals 180? Well, 120 does. So that's how you can figure out what the values of x, y, and z are. It's kind of neat. Now we're going to go through and try to figure out what the measures are here by finding fact families. You know that the sum of the measures is 360 in this case, 180 here, 360, and so on. So it's just the math that we've been doing the whole time. So here you go. And found that. So to solve multi-step equations, use inverse operations to isolate the variable. And that's really what we were doing before with the whole addition property of equality and subtraction subtraction of equality, property of equality. So it says here the height in feet of a tree after x years is 1.5x plus 15. After how many years is a tree 24 feet tall? All right, well, try to figure that out on your own and then press play. So I have this equals 24. I want to do the subtraction property of equality because I'm subtracting here. And I get 1.5x equals 9, right? I'm now going to divide because it's multiplication up here. Again, I call this the multiplicative inverse, but it would just be 9 over 1.5. And the answer is 6. So the tree is 24 feet tall after 6 years. So here's another one where I want you to try to solve it yourself, then press play. And there you go, the value is -5. So here's another one. Now this one's a little bit different. I actually want to write this one out. So it says 2 and then 1 minus 5x plus 4 equals -8. I'm going to show you this because we have to do one more step that we haven't done yet. So we're going to first distribute. So I'm going to have 2 minus, and then 2 times -5 is -10x, and then plus 4 equals -8. Now the rest of this is just like we've been doing. So I'm going to combine like terms on this side, and I have 2 plus 4, which is 6. So I'm going to have here, I'll say 6. Oh boy, that is crazy looking. Let's try that again. So I'll have 6 minus 10x, and that all equals -8. And then I'm going to go through and subtract 6. I'll have -10x equals -14. I'm going to do that multiplicative inverse, or it says the property of division, so I'll say 1 over -10. 1 over -10. And I get x equals 14 over 10, or 7 over 5. So let's go through here and see it. So if I take 7 divided by 5, I also get 1.4. Just to walk you through how to actually do this one. All right, and that is 1.